Welcome back again. It's Musa with Buza Mkali, and we are exploring identity crisis in the digital age. So the crisis of self in the digital age. Every time we post something online, we are not just sharing content. We are sharing a version of ourselves. A caption may be a filter on a status, a playlist, or a story. All these tiny mirrors reflect who we want to be seen as. But here's the question: when all these reflections overlap, who's the real us? Or, to put it on a personal level, who's the real you? So we live in an age where self-expression has never been easier, yet self-understanding has never been harder. So for us, the Gen Zs, we have grown up online, entirely online. Identity isn't something we just find, it's something we construct, curate, and even sometimes it's something we perform. In this episode, we are going to explore that tension, how the digital world gives us freedom to explore who we are, but also leaves many of us wondering if we've lost the plot along the way. So in the past, identity was relatively stable. You are who your community said you are, either your tribe, your religion, your gender, your family name. Your path was already defined structurally and traditionally. But in this century, or in this modern age, that mold is broken. Now, identity is fluid, more customizable, and even brandable. You can choose your pronouns, you can choose your aesthetic, your beliefs, and even you can curate your own online persona. So it's somehow liberating, but it also creates a lot of pressure, because if you can be anything, you are also expected to decide who that is or what that anything is. So if in the field of psychology, there's one psychologist called Eric Erikson, a very famous psychologist, who once described this stage as a stage of life as identity versus role confusion. So in this developmental task of figuring out who you are and where you fit. But for us, for the current Gen Zs, we face this in a completely different world, in a world where the internet hands us a million templates for who to be. So in one template, we can be the activist; in another template, we can be the minimalist; in another template, we can be the influencer, or we can be that introvert or that extrovert, or the academic or the empath. All of this in just one big template. So, and sometimes apart from these templates, we even start performing before even understand what it all means. So for instance, well, you can in this place whereby you start sharing motivational quotes, or you share some
This audio was created with podcastle.ai.
motivational quotes, or you share some morning routines or productivity hacks, not because you figured out yourself, but simply because that's the language of belonging. You are in a place where everyone is doing that, and then you feel, or the internet is flooded with that, all these places where you fit in, or where you think that you fit in, uh, are all overloaded with that, and so you decide to go with the flock. You become a bird of a feather, and so there you fit in. So we are all walking paradoxes actually. We are craving authenticity, while at the same time we are following trends to fit in. And that's not hypocrisy, as some of the older generations would like to put it or to point it out, but is the modern identity struggle. So in a minute we can look at the algorithms how the algorithms shape our identities. Because for instance, if you wake up and you wake up and you start right away, you go to your Facebook feed, and everything which you are seeing you are seeing things from the same creators, or from the same people, or everything which you are seeing, it's reinforcing already what you want to know, or what you want to see. So that's the work of an algorithm, and these algorithms have now are now knowing us more than we even know ourselves. So every time we double tap, or every time you comment or you scroll past something, the system learns about you, and it reflects what it learns about you back. So you see content that aligns with your behavior, your biases, your prejudices, and your identity. You start living inside what some scholars call the algorithmic mirror. So over time, it certainly answers the question, who am I, for you? Instead of yourself discovering who you are, so the algorithms discovers who you are, and it answers for you that question. So you become the kind of person who likes this, or who supports that, or who follows these accounts, and slowly your digital profile becomes your psychological cage. The more we interact online, the more our identity becomes predictive. It is shaped by the algorithms that reward consistency and not complexity. Yet, human beings, as we are complex creatures. We change our minds, we evolve, we contradict ourselves, and that's one part of being real. We were never that linear. We sometimes bend, we sometimes shift on this opinion, or we sometimes learn a new perspective and we go by it. Yet online, inconsistency is punished. If at all you say something today and tomorrow you say something else which contradicts, then you are being cancelled out and you are being punished for your contradiction. If you shift your views, people usually call you fake, and if you evolve, they say you've changed too much. So what really happens here? You end up performing stability. You end up choosing one version of yourself that pleases your followers or your online audience, and quietly suppress the others. So you suppress the other versions which do not reflect the person who is stable online. So that's where the identity crisis deepens, because what begins as self-expression finally turns into self-surveillance. So we used to wonder, who am I? Now we wonder, who am I to them? Yeah. And that shift from inner truth to outer validations is quietly reshaping how Gen Z understands self-worth. So when we constantly curate our identity, we start living in fragments. Each space, either TikTok, Instagram, X, or Facebook, our real life demands a different mask. And the weight of maintaining these masks leads to what is identified, or can be termed as identity fatigue.
This audio was created with Podcastle.ai.
Identified, or can be termed as identity fatigue. It's the silent anxiety of not knowing which version of yourself is real. So there's this thing. If you speak, if you lie too much, it reaches a point whereby you yourself no longer know the difference between the truth and the lie. So you've lied for long consistently, such that you can never differentiate which is the lie and which is the truth. So that's now the stage at where we are. So most of the time, you are going to hear ourselves describe, maybe we are tired or we are lost or we feel that we are not enough. It's not just an emotional burnout from the spaces which we interact with or from the weight of our identity crisis, but it's an entirely existential burnout. There are too many mirrors, and there are too little stillness. So if you look at mental health statistics, they can really back this up. So there are reports of high rates of anxiety, depression, and loneliness, despite being the most connected generation in history. Because digital connection doesn't always equal emotional connection. Yeah. But here's the hopeful side. We are also the leading revolution of self-awareness. We are renaming our struggles out loud. We are challenging labels that don't fit. And we are using therapy, journaling, faith, and spirituality to reconnect with a self that isn't driven by metrics or trends. Movements, they've been an uproar, and they've been an extensive movement in digital detoxing, mindfulness, which sometimes might seem humorous, but they always reflect a deeper truth whereby they are shouting that we are yearning for authenticity and staying away from the noise which gives us our identity crisis. The idea of a main character energy also has a hidden wisdom. It's about reclaiming agency, not to perform for others, but to narrate our own life, to be present in our story, and not to be a product in someone else's feed. And maybe that's where identity is heading, not toward perfection or branding, but toward integration. The truest self isn't built in public, it's found in silence, in mistakes, in growth no one sees. So, who are you? Really? Who are you? Maybe it's not something you post, maybe it's what remains when the screen goes dark. So, I'm going to leave you with this. Identity isn't a destination, it's a dialogue between who you've been, who you are, and who you are becoming, between the noise of the world and the quiet of your own heart, between the screen and the soul. Talk about the online versus the offline me. So we are going to explore the tension between authenticity and performance and how us as Gen Zs can navigate the blurred line between the two. Until then, take a deep breath, log out for a moment and ask yourself, when no one's watching, who am I?
This audio was created with Podcastle.ai.